Tonight, when you walk home and your shoes press into the ground, have you ever wondered how thick that ground actually is? Humans have reached the moon 238,000 miles away. Humans have dived to the deepest point of the ocean 7 miles down. But straight down into the earth beneath your feet, humans have barely moved at all. The ground you stand on is the closest place to you and somehow the least explored. So follow the shovel, start digging 6 feet. That's the standard burial depth. Most people assume it's a religious rule. It isn't. At that depth, a buried body is unlikely to spread disease or trigger an epidemic. That's the real reason 6 feet became the standard, 13 feet. That's how deep King Tutankhamun's tomb sits, shallower than you'd expect, right? 13 feet is also the depth of the deepest ant colony ever found, an underground palace dug by a species of black ant. 20 feet. That's as deep as a metal detector can reach. Below that, archaeologists reach for something older, a narrow probing spade first used by tomb robbers and later adopted by professional excavators because nothing else reads soil layers as precisely 10 or 20 feet down in a single thrust. 40 feet. Now crocodiles dig their burrows this deep to hide from predators and from the people who want their skin. 65 feet. Beneath Paris lies an entire city built from bones, 6 million skeletons stacked in the dark. Paris ran out of burial ground centuries ago. War and plague filled cemeteries faster than the city could expand, so every grave was emptied and every bone was carried into an abandoned quarry. 500,000 visitors walk through it every year now. Burial has always had the same hidden flaw. Eventually, there's nowhere left to bury. I'm on 115 feet. That's the depth explored at the top of the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang. Nobody has ever opened it. Nobel physicist Samuel Ting once estimated the tomb could run 600 to 5,000 feet deep, if true, the deepest structure ever dug by human hands without machinery. Most archaeologists think the real number is closer to 100 feet, 280 feet. That's how far down the underground city of Cappadocia in Turkey reaches. Roughly 20 or 30 stories. It had kitchens, it had ventilation shafts, it barely had doors. This wasn't built for daily life. It was built to disappear into during war or possibly against radiation. Nobody has ever confirmed. 346 feet, that's the depth of Arsenalna, the deepest metro station on Earth. In Kiev, the ground here was too unstable for a shallow station, so engineers kept drilling until they hit rock solid enough to build on. 509 feet. A 400-year-old silver mine in Sala, Sweden, was stripped bare and left as an empty shaft. The town later turned it into an underground hotel suite. You can sleep more than 500 feet down in a silence and a darkness nothing on the surface reproduces. 7 feet. In August 2010, a copper mine in Chile collapsed. 33 miners were trapped more than 2,000 feet underground. Nobody on the surface knew if any of them were alive. Rescuers began drilling narrow-bore holes, and after 2 weeks, at 2,157 feet, the drill bit hit something, a tapping sound answering back. They followed the sound and broke through days later. All 33 were alive. The note they sent up read, "All 33 of us are alive in the shelter." Chief engineer Andre Sugarit then led Plan B, a wider shaft that took 2 more months to drill before every miner was pulled out. One by one, the rescue was later made into a film, still the most famous deep earth rescue in history. 5,187 feet, that's the depth of Lake Baikal, the deepest lake on Earth, sitting in the far reaches of Siberia. 7,208 feet, Krubera Cave in Georgia is the deepest natural cave humans have ever mapped. Diver Gennady Samakin pushed through a flooded passage 330 feet underwater just to reach that number, and beyond it, the darkness is still unmeasured. 7,874 feet. China's Jinping Underground Laboratory sits at this depth, built to hunt for dark matter. Why dig this deep? Because only that much rock can block out cosmic rays and background radiation. If the detector ever reacts, that reaction is almost certainly dark matter. So far, it hasn't reacted once. 11,811 feet. In the depths of a South African gold mine lives the deepest multicellular animal ever found, a worm barely half a millimeter long, nicknamed the devil worm. Belgian biologist Gaëtan Bourgogne discovered it there in 2011. It survives extreme heat, crushing pressure, and zero oxygen, conditions that make scientists suspect life like it could exist on other planets. 12,800 feet. That's the deepest point humans have ever physically reached. By digging South Africa's Tautona gold mine, getting from the surface to the bottom takes a full hour. 40,230 feet. The Soviet Union spent nearly 20 years drilling the Kola super deep borehole to this depth, purely for research. The project eventually stopped, officially overfunding and technical limits. But a persistent rumor claims something else happened, that the drill suddenly spun out of control at this depth, as if it had broken into a hollow void, and a recording made afterward captured a sound people came to call the voice of hell. It's almost certainly an urban legend. But it says something true anyway. How much of the world beneath you is still unknown, and how easily that unknown fills with imagination. 4,600 feet. A well-off Russia's Sakhalin Island Z-44 Chaivo is the deepest hole humans have ever drilled by machine, 15 times the height of the Burj Khalifa, deeper than the Mariana Trench. Past that point, the numbers switch to miles. Within the first 20 miles down is the crust, made mostly of volcanic rock. On that count, Earth isn't so different from Mercury, Venus, Mars, or the Moon. All of them wear volcanic rock on the surface too. From 20 to 500 miles down is the upper mantle. It's under so much heat and pressure that the rock itself glows. Strip away the light and this layer is packed with peridot, ruby, and diamond. Every gemstone you've ever bought started out as ordinary rock down here, carried up to the surface by magma. From 500 to 1,800 miles down is the lower mantle. Just as hot, just as luminous, except none of it has ever been dragged up by magma. No one has ever actually seen what it looks like. From 1,800 to 3,200 miles down is the outer core, a full ocean of liquid iron spinning slowly at roughly 1 mile per hour. That speed sounds negligible. It isn't. That slow-moving iron ocean is the entire reason Earth has a magnetic field. Without it, the field collapses, solar wind strips the atmosphere away, and nothing on the surface survives what comes next. Finally, from 3,200 to 3,160 miles down, at the very center is the inner core, also iron, but solid, forced into that state by pressure too extreme for anything to stay liquid. So this iron ball hasn't existed since the planet formed. It only started solidifying a little over 1 billion years ago, and it's still growing. Someday the outer core's liquid iron will run out entirely, replaced by solid metal. When that happens, Earth's magnetic field disappears with it. Add it all up, and everything humans actually understand about the ground beneath them reaches about 5 miles down, roughly zero. 2% of the planet's radius. Humans understand less than 5% of the ocean, less than 5% of the universe, and less than 0. 2% of the planet under their own feet. So the next time you walk across the ground, it might be worth wondering, how thick is it really?